Hey everybody, welcome back to Rockets Talk 09. I'm Josh, he's Alan, and this is a special guest we got on the show tonight. This is Coach R-Rod. Thank you very much for joining us, Coach R-Rod.
Glad to be here, fellas.
On our last show we talked about that depressing, heartbroken loss by the LA Lakers. But ever since then we have made tremendous progress. We beat Miami, and we beat Denver, and we beat our arch rival Utah. That is always fun to do when we can. And we picked up a game on Denver, we picked up a game on Utah, and Miami is not too much worried about since they're in the Eastern Conference, and we're happy with those wins, we really are, but one of the things that we're very concerned about is our defense. I mean, they've been suspect lately, and I'm going to ask a question here for Coach R-Rod. Coach R-Rod, if you're Rick Adelman, I mean, how do you feel about all this? I mean, we're getting W's, but our defense is suspect. I think this might come back to haunt us later. Hopefully not, but I mean, what would you do different as a coach?
Well, you're right there, Josh. The big thing is about defense, and of course, you know, the key for the Rockets is consistency. And unfortunately for Coach Adelman, he hasn't had that chance with the McGrady injuries, and even Rayford. Everyone's been injured. He's had about 50 different lineups. But hopefully, because they've gotten to at least have this home stretch, that they've been able to work on their defense. See, sometimes what fans forget is they think, oh, McGrady's out, oh, Artesta's out, and that we can't score points. But if you notice in these last 3 victories, we've scored a lot of points, but we've also given up a lot of points. And in order for the Rockets to sustain winning, they're not going to be able to score that kind of points. So the defense has got to pick up. So the thing about when you get consistency with your players, then they'll learn their defensive assignments, then they'll understand their rotations, and then hopefully the defense will pick up. But that's going to come in time, fellas, so hopefully we can keep getting some W's. They've had some practice, they're going out on the road. It doesn't look like Artest and McGrady are going to be in here soon, so he's got to run with what he has, and hopefully the defense does pick up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I think you know, Coach, he made a very good point. I mean, defense definitely wins championships. I mean, if you go back and you look at last year with the Boston Celtics coming down the stretch, I mean, their defense was really, really tough. I mean, it was strong. I mean, they like totally shut down LA. So I really feel like that's really vital for us. And since we get, you know, T-Mac back and we get Artest back, and I feel like if you have Ron Artest and we have Battier maybe in our lineup, you know, maybe, you know, 2 of the best defenders in the league, maybe we can, you know, get that defense a little better so it won't be so suspect down the road. So I think right now it's the best time right now to, you know, try to get everybody healthy, and then after the All-Star break, you know, we start making that stretch run into the playoffs, and then maybe we can actually, you know, bring it, you know, all this momentum into the first round so we can get over that hump and get into the second round, and then, you know, the third round and get to the championship.
Yep, championship or bust. Artest said it himself. Anything less of a championship is a complete failure. What more do you want? Those were his exact words, and I'm going to be realistic here. I'm going to take it, as just a fan, there's only so much I can do or so much we can do. But the step I'm going to take is just getting past that first round. I mean, everybody here in Houston, we're sick of, being called out on it. I mean, T-Mac is the main victim. I mean, you can say the same about Carmelo Anthony. He's never passed the first round either. But T-Mac is older than he is, so right now he's getting that kind of treatment. And, he claims that he's back. I got excited. But today, supposedly, something happened. And you want to talk a little bit about that, Coach R-Rod?
Okay, well, before I talk about that, obviously, sometimes some of the fans are all on the Wafer bandwagon saying, oh, we don't need T-Mac and all that good stuff. But the one thing the Rockets are missing right now is a go-to guy. Now, I know that Coach Adelman goes to Yao down the stretch, and you can't blame him there. He's 7'6", and he's a good free throw shooter. But unfortunately, Yao hasn't shown that he's a closer, and he doesn't get the calls. He gets hammered. In fact, there's guys down there in the Huntsville prison that are getting away with, that are in prison doing time, and the players are doing worse to them. But nevertheless, the thing about it is, when Coach Adelman needs T-Mac, but I think he's probably given up on T-Mac in his own way, because he just doesn't think he can count on him. As you stated, T-Mac was at practice today, and he even played in the scrimmages, and Coach Adelman said, oh, great, man, T-Mac looks good out there. Almost basically saying, why can't he play? Of course, the next clip you see, T-Mac saying, hey, just because I practiced, I never said I was going to play. So I can only guess what Coach Adelman's saying, but I think that if it was me, even though you need T-Mac, he may be ready to do the Dwayne Wade thing and just say, look, take the whole year off and just go ahead and get real healthy. Maybe that's what's best. I know some Rocket fans don't really want to hear that, and they think that T-Mac's dogging it. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I personally think he needs the whole year off. The key is to get Artest back. Hopefully we get the rest of the guys go, and hopefully we find a go-to guy, to somebody that we can get to get that kind of shot when we get down to the last 3 minutes. Because right now, if you look at when the Rockets win, they're generally ahead by 6 to 8 points in the last minute. They don't win too many games when it's a 2-point game because we're just not hitting the big shot. Okay? So that being said, if we don't find that go-to guy, then we're going to be in a heap of trouble come playoff time.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about that go-to guy just for a second. Okay, Yao Ming, let's face it, I guess he is our go-to guy. He's 7'6", but the thing is though, he doesn't have the ball handling skills, which he probably shouldn't be expected to have since he's 7'6". I mean, I just get frustrated just seeing everybody just take the ball from him down the stretch. It happened in the Denver game especially. We had 2 times to try to close it out, but.
Well, that's a good point, Josh. You know, kind of going back to my point about us having to be up by 8 points. Now, of those games that we've won recently, that's the only game that we weren't up by 6 to 8 points in the last minute. But if you think about it, it wasn't so much us hitting a big shot that won the game for us. It was Kenyon Martin, if I'm not mistaken, blowing a layup down the stretch. Now, we'll take a win any way we can, and that was an exciting game and a good win for the Rockets. But once again, I'm looking for that big shot. Wafer did hit one in Boston. But one shot does not make a season.
Right.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I want to kind of get back to the T-Mac thing. I mean, you know, I think I'm kind of like one of those fans, you know. I'm kind of wondering, you know, we're paying T-Mac all this big money, but, I mean, every time I turn around, I hear him saying, well, I'm shutting it down for the season, guys. I'm shutting it down. My leg hurts. Well, I mean, come on, man. We're paying you all this money. I mean, get out there, show some heart, and, I mean, quit quitting on us on the court. I mean, the thing is, Ron Artest, I mean, you could see clearly that the guy was hurting, but he was still out there playing hard. But I don't know, I just feel like T-Mac he just doesn't care for some reason. I feel like he just straight up quitting on the court. And I mean, honestly, I wish Santa Claus would have came for T-Mac and gave him a new knee for Christmas. Honestly.
Yeah, that's something we all would have loved. I mean, another thing is T-Mac, I mean, he's to take advantage of like his weaker defenders. I mean, this is a long time ago, but just in the 07 series against the Utah Jazz, not last season, but the season before then, Derek Fisher was guarding him. Come on, you put Dwayne Wade or Danny Granger on Derek Fisher, they're going to take him to school and they're going to lead their team to victory. They are not going to let Derek Fisher stop them. I'm not taking anything from Fisher. He's a good player, but this is defense we're talking about. I mean, Fisher should not be able to hold T-Mac. Like, you know, he didn't exactly shut T-Mac down, but I mean, come Game 7 though, T-Mac should have took over in that game, but you know, he had the chance to take over. He had a couple of big shots on the stretch, but then we were missing our go-to guy in the last 2 minutes of that game, and you know, that's a loss that still haunts me from today.
Well, once again, speaking of the go-to guy, I'm thinking that right now with the Rockets, okay, maybe it can be Yao Ming in time, and maybe even Artest if he gets back in the lineup. But absence of those players, I'd really like to see Brent Barry kind of become that go-to guy. Well, I realize he can't create his own shot. He's still a really good shooter. He's a veteran. He's been on championship teams with the Spurs. And my thought is, if it's me, if it's the end of the game, I'm getting the ball to Yao, but I'm trying to run a play, some back screen, something that frees up Brent Barry to take that shot. Obviously, if Yao doesn't have it, it needs to go into Barry's hand. Somebody that wants to take the shot. Because if you notice the other night, when they did kind of lose that Laker game, nobody wanted to take the shot. Larry was having a good game. He was in there keeping us down the stretch. But when he had the shot, he passed it up. Now, I'm not going to fault the player, because if you don't feel confident in taking the shot, chances are you're going to miss anyway. But it tells me we're absence of the go-to player. And that's something that's missing. It's, you know, one thing about it, guys, you can't really coach it. You're going to probably try to instill some confidence in your players, but you know, that's something that a player has to develop for himself.
Yep, and thank you for joining us. That's about it tonight. I'm Josh, he's Alan, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Thank you. We got the Pacers on Friday, and then we have the Pistons and the Knicks, and I believe all three of those should be W's. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us next time. Go Rockets.
Go Rockets.